Welcome. This is Drew Coat Sports Talk. I am your host, Andrew Wright. This guy over here, to my right, to your left, is best friend slash co-host slash, for those of you who know us, Bay, Cody Johnson. Cody, how are you, man?
Oh, this day couldn't have come quick enough.
I know. I know, man.
It's so good to be here. It's good to
Well, we are excited about today. I don't think I've been excited about one of our shows since we first started. I haven't been this excited since, since our first video.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I really couldn't tell you why. I'm just really excited.
This is one of those weeks. It's finally here. Let's get going.
As you can see, we are wearing jerseys. Representing King James over here is myself. That didn't make sense, but you know what? Okay. And over here, representing Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors, excuse me.
Okay.
Is Cody Johnson. And obviously, we're kind of rooting for certain teams. They're not our favorite team. I think we've been clear that Lakers are our team.
If anything, I've been making fun of Warriors fans the bandwagon Warrior fans that have jumped on and probably couldn't name one player that was on their team 10 years ago. So we're diehard Lakers fans, but these are the teams that we're going for in the finals. I think it's safe to say.
It's okay. It's okay to want a certain team to win. I know people want to be like, "Well, you're a Laker fan, so you shouldn't be rooting for anyone." Yes. Because we're basketball fans and we want to see good basketball.
Yeah.
And that's what we're thinking we're going to get.
And plus, we need something to talk about when the Lakers aren't in the playoffs. We really need to wait almost 10 months before they play again.
We cannot have 3 months of Lonzo Ball talk. I cannot do it. It's just not going to happen. Anyway, today we're going to try something a little different. Now, I apologize in advance because in this video, I'm going to be talking majority, and that's because it is something that I witnessed and I felt very strongly about. Now, Cody will put in his 2 cents later on, but I do need to set up the story first so you guys can fully understand where we are coming from, okay? And we are going to be talking about youth sports, okay? Now, I know it's not always a popular topic, I guess, but it is something that I feel like needs to be mentioned. You and I have kids, and I feel like we want to try and set examples for our kids, and so I'm going to go into the story, and you'll figure out what exactly I'm talking about now. So my brother-in-law plays in a Little League team, and it's for 12 and under, and my father-in-law coaches his team. And they just recently, on last Wednesday, not this past Wednesday, but last week, they had their championship game, which they ended up winning, and that was their 3rd win in a row out of 4 years being in the championship. So they had 4 years straight in the championship. They won 3 out of the 4, which is awesome.
Kudos to them.
Yes, so congratulations to them if they are watching. If not, I don't take it personally. Still, congratulations. So anyway, which was awesome. So then they have a all-star team. So they get the best players, all the best kids in that league, and they kind of create a travel ball team. So my father-in-law was invited to coach, and my brother-in-law was invited to play, which is really cool. So they had a tournament coming up in the weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Now Saturday is the seeding, and Sunday is the actual tournament itself. So my father-in-law gets a phone call on Wednesday night, right after their championship game. And they said, "Hey, you have a game on Thursday for the tournament. It's to kind of help with the seeding." And my father-in-law says, "No, we don't." And he goes, "Why? Well, basically, they had just had a championship game, which the kids are already tired, and these kids, some of them have traveling or they're going on trips with their school because it is the end of the year. So he goes, we're not going to have a team. We can't make it. You got to do something else." So they ended up working it out and saying, okay, well, you can play all your games on Saturday. But if you lose one game, you will be playing in 3 games on Saturday. So going into that's going to be kind of rough for kids. But, if you want to stay in the tournament, that's what they had to do. So they did. No issue. I have no issue with that. That makes sense. And they were able to work with them. Cool. So on Saturday, my wife and I were able to go, so we went. And we like watching these games. It's baseball. I mean, I've always wanted to coach, especially when my daughter gets older, I want to coach. So I like to watch how these things go about. So we go there, and Saturday, the first game, we ended up winning, which is awesome. We loved it. We were not expecting to win because this team really hadn't got to practice a lot with each other. And now, they have a win under the belt. So the second game comes about, and let's say this team is called the Gray Team. Okay, so the Gray Team, we're playing, and we're doing really well. It kind of goes back and forth here and there in a couple of innings, but we finally take a good lead. We're up like 8-4. Now these games either end an hour and a half, where you cannot play another inning after the hour and a half, or you play until 6 innings and then it's it. Okay? In this instance, it was an hour and a half, so it's about like 4 o'clock at this time. So the umpire says, okay, this is the last inning. Cool. So our team is up 8-7. The bases are loaded, and there are 2 outs. The Gray Team, the hitter, hits the ball into right field. The right fielder has to come in and over towards the foul line. Now, the ball is about 6 feet away from the foul line, so it is going to be fair no matter what. So that wasn't the issue. The right fielder then dives for the ball. Umpire calls out. That's it. Game over. And with those 2 wins that we had, that means we get the number 1 seed. So it's great. All of a sudden, I see the Gray Team's coach, one of them, come out and starts yelling at the umpire. And he says, obviously you can see his gesture saying the ball hit the ground. Okay? And, there's some parents who are yelling stuff at him. Of course, we'll get into that later. But we come back, and I go up to my mother-in-law. She goes, "Yeah, the ball hit." And I go, "Oh." Now she would not have said that if it weren't true. Yeah. But where the umpire's angle was at, you could not see that the ball dropped. Where my seat was at, you could not see the ball was dropped. Where the coach was, he was out on the field. He was almost right by the play. Right. He saw the ball drop. So I understand you're upset. Okay? That's not the issue. I have no issue arguing the call, but the umpire cannot reverse a call when he can't see it. So if he says, "I didn't see it," you can get really pissed off. You can be super mad. You can be like, "I can't believe it." But it's not going to help. Right. It's not going to be reversed. Okay? So, going into Sunday, we are the number 1 seed, and we draw the Gray Team as our first game. So, not even 24 hours after this play, we have to play this team again. So, you think they're going to come out, and they're going to come out and fire me. So my brother-in-law's one of his friends is actually pitching, which is pretty cool. We're rooting for him. And he's pitching really well. My brother-in-law comes up to bat. There's 2 runners on. He gets a base hit and actually hits it out into the outfield. 2 runs score, which is awesome. So now we're up 2-0 in the first inning. Great start. We get into the 3rd inning. My brother-in-law comes up again. He knocks in another run. Now we're up 3-0. Things are going well. We get into the top of the 4th. Now this is where the issue comes, okay? I'm landing my plane, folks, I promise. So, we're at the first batter, and my brother-in-law's friend is still pitching. He's pitching really well, like I said. He gets the count to 2-2 to this kid on the Gray Team. And all of a sudden, after that 2-2 count, now it's 4 pitches. I swear there was nothing else that happened. No outs, nobody on. This is the first batter, top of the 4th. One of the coaches on the Gray Team comes out and makes a beeline for the umpire. And so the umpire calls time, and he goes up to the coach, and the coach explains whatever his issue is. Comes back to my father-in-law, the umpire, and goes and he says, the Gray Team is saying that there is a max inning for a pitcher. Now, usually in Little League, is a pitch count, and it's about 50, maybe 60 pitches, depending on who sets it up. That's usually for kids, whatever. So they say there's a max inning. It's not a pitch count. He goes, okay, well, what do we do? He goes, well, I'm going to get one of the directors or someone over here to help us, and we're going to figure this out and see what the ruling is. So I believe it was the director that came over onto the field and says, hey, yeah, there is a max inning for a pitcher. And he goes, okay. Well, my father-in-law goes, all right, what are the consequences for that? He goes, well, basically the gray team gets to say, you either have to forfeit the game or they'll let you still play. And my father-in-law, obviously, is a little upset about that because he goes, well, we were not under the understanding, or we were not told there was a max inning. We believed that there was a pitch count. And the issue that they've had was communication with us. Obviously, like I told you the story of, they called the day before they were supposed to play. And obviously, too, what I didn't mention earlier is that they had tried to email the rules to these guys a couple of times, and it wasn't working for some reason with the email. So the director said, well, there's going to be the rules will be posted at the tournament. And there was not. And I can promise you that because my wife and I looked up and down, left and right to find these rules. Okay? We tried. No one had them, no one could give it to us, and no one had it posted. Okay? So my father-in-law is trying to, say, hey, let's make a compromise here, let's play. He suggests, hey, why don't we just redo it with a new picture? No. Okay, why don't we have a runner on second, and the batter who's up will restart the count with a new picture? No. Okay, why don't we put a run on the board and have the same batter and a new picture? No. They wanted them to forfeit. Now, it's not the fact that we lost, and I'm sitting here saying I'm a bitter loser. I'm so upset that my family got screwed in that game. It's not even that. Okay, I understand I have a bias. Yes, of course I want to see my father-in-law and my brother-in-law win, but I'm not there to have them win all the time, because the way I believe, sometimes losing actually helps you later on.
Right.
Especially kids. Kids need to know how to lose. They need to know how to win. My issue was, and what made me so disgusted of how this all ended, was during all this turmoil, during all this, the gray team is going to make our team forfeit. That's it. We don't want to play no more. Whether, I don't know, maybe it was the Saturday game and they want to get back. Maybe it was them losing 3-0 and they maybe had 2 runners on base all game. And maybe it was a mixture of both. But my issue, and what disgusted me the most, was that not one coach on the gray side went over to any player or all of the players and said, do you want to play? Now, like I said before, me and my wife, we would look up and down, left and right. We were watching everything. We were looking for rules. We were looking for some way that we could keep playing. And I watched all those coaches because I wanted to see what was going to happen. I wanted to see what was going on. Not one coach went over to the kid and said, do you want to play? This is what frustrates me first about youth sports. It no longer was about the kids. That's how youth sports always started out. That's when I went, it was all about the kids. And now it has formed to the parents wanting their kids to get theirs. I'm going to get mine, they're going to get theirs, and I don't care about any other kid. My son, my daughter is going to get what they need to get. I don't care about whoever else. That's what it's become. And not only is it not about the kids anymore, it's about the coaches. They were so mad and wanted to win so bad by that ruling that they not once looked at the kid and said, "Do you guys want to play?"
Mm-hmm.
I understand you want to win. I get that. It's not about you. I have an issue with it because I wanted to coach, and I still do want to coach for when my daughter gets older. And not at all do I ever want to be like that. I'm a loud parent. I'm a loud person in the stands. I'll yell out something if I disagree with it, but I don't yell profanity because I represent. First of all, I represented my family there. I represented the team that was there, and I represent me. I don't want to be known for that. I don't want people to look at me every time I come in and go, who's this clown? This guy's going to yell again. We need to get rid of him. I don't want to be known as that. It made me very sick of how it ended and how youth sports has created to where it's all about the parents. Mm-hmm. It's all about the adults involved. It's never about the kids anymore. Mm-hmm. And I'm tired of it.
Honestly, man, it's nicely put, and I know that you and I had talked about this over dinner a couple of nights ago when we were first talking about it. From my perspective, because again, I wasn't there, so I may not have as much bias as you have because I don't have the connection with your brother-in-law, with your father-in-law. Mm-hmm. I've met them, and outstanding people, by the way. But I agree with youth sports is turning too much into for adults. That's one perfect example of how that game transpired and how basically the coach was losing again to the same team that had a controversial call that lost them the game the day before. Came back, maybe his feathers were a little ruffled because the pitcher was just throwing some heat, or maybe was just disrupting the batter, and he wanted to do something, and his only logical thing was, oh yeah, there's a rule that this kid's been out here too long, so we'll win the game that way. We won't win it honestly. We'll just get them out. So for me, if I was a parent, I'd be upset also because there's no one compromise. And I agree with you. Nobody asked the kids, hey, do you want to continue? Would you like to play? Because, I mean, no offense, but I'm sure a lot of these players, when they got invited, were in hoping of playing full games. I mean, it's a great time to represent yourselves and your skill set, and to go home or to lose, because nobody, especially if you're a competitor for an all-star team or whatever, you don't want to lose. You never want to lose, especially like that. So I think that is really it's a dishonest thing to do to kids. And if I was a parent or if I was a coach, and for some reason this other coach doesn't want to compromise, and obviously he's too wrapped up in him to worry about his players, because I mean, take the runner on second, take the run, take essentially what can put you into a winning position where you have a run, have a runner on scoring position, and you have the batter, and if that's the scenario you painted, then take that then if that's what will make you feel better to get a spark going. But to not have your kids continue to compete. And I think that's what's happening in youth sports sometimes, is adults are making it so competitive that if little Johnny is your best player and you have to discipline him, are you going to discipline him to, one, protect the integrity of the team, or to teach him, let him know, like, look, this is a team sport, it's not about you, but yet that coach is exuberating, it's about me because I'm going to be a crybaby, and I'm going to win this game by hook or by crook, and unfortunately it was by crook. Yeah. And one thing that I heard that you kind of didn't mention was that when the coach went to the umpire, it was a new umpire, he wasn't even aware of the rule. So, I mean, almost shame on the organization for not preparing whatever umps were there to say, hey, this pitcher, or these are the rules, this is what we're doing. And I'm sure they've had this plan for over a year, so you know who you're going to have coming in, and for an ump to be unaware of a rule is very unheard of, and to where you have to call the director in on the game. The one that's running the tournament that has hundreds of games to worry about, you're going to call him in for one game because nobody else knew about this rule except for him.
And I was going to get to that, and I appreciate you actually bringing that up because you're right. The umpire should know, and if the umpire doesn't know, and I know there's probably people sitting down right now watching this going, okay, is that really a rule that you would go over? Yes.
Yeah.
That's a big rule. Because if you need to know, usually it's a pitch count. So if you have it slightly different, or you're not sure, or even if you are sure, you still need to say this rule, the pitcher cannot go over 3 innings.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that is discussed. And that should be discussed by an umpire before the game between the two coaches.
And another,
obviously it was not.
Right, and another point on that too, again to respond, if people are saying, well, is it a big deal for them to know? It is, because if the team doesn't abide by the rules that they're unaware of, that the ump's not aware of, they forfeit the game, which is what happens. And it costs players an opportunity to continue to play. And it's unfortunate because here you have adults butting into youth sports that are arguing for every kid to get a trophy because, oh, my kid didn't get a trophy. Well, maybe your kid needed to work harder. I don't know what that kid's situation was, why he didn't get a trophy or whatever the case may be. But you know what's going to teach him later on in life? To keep working harder so he can earn it. You know, if you're going to hand him everything, then it's not going to be appreciated. And that's not tying into the story. That's just the point of adults are trying to change it into what they want and not worrying about what the kids want. Like, kids sometimes are like, yeah, they want to win, but they want to get the playing time. And the point is get them to understand the fundamentals, how to play the game the right way, because you want to get them on an early start. What are we putting in today's kids if you're teaching them that if you know a rule nobody else does and you're losing, don't worry about fighting back, but just cry about this rule and then you'll get a forfeit and you'll win by default, not because you earned it. That's essentially what, to me, that sounds like is being taught in front of all those kids. So now it's like, if ever they go on to win the tournament or that next win or whatever the case may be, now has an asterisk. You didn't really win anything. You got past them by default, which is honestly a bogus one, because I can almost say that if I was a coach and I was in that position, again, competitive juice is flowing, probably would want to take the whole option of, yeah, give me the runner on second and give me my batter up and just change out a new pitcher. Go from there. Because if I'm going to be competitive, I now have the competitive edge as far as what my position is, and I can still get all these kids the chance and opportunity to play. But again, I think you proved it and you said it right. The kids weren't asked, they were overlooked, and that adult took over and basically ruined it for his team.
What also I have an issue with is parents, and there were a lot of parents, especially actually on our side, that were yelling out things. Oh, I can't believe, yelling at the other opposing coach. Oh, coach, way to take that win, and it's just, come on, guys, you're adults, you're teaching the kids, and you yelling at these people, at these umpires who really can't do anything other than to go by what they know, which is the rules. They can't do anything. So you yelling at the umpire does not help. So I heard a 50-year-old man yelling, like, oh, I'm not going to let anyone tell me what to do. The kids are hearing this, mm-hmm. and your kid is specifically hearing this, and so he's going to say, well, I guess that's okay. And do not sit there and go, oh, yeah, right, my kid knows better. Your kid, you are their role model. You are their example. They will tell you, oh, yeah, I love, Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or mm-hmm. I love LeBron James or Steph Curry or I love, Giancarlo Stanton. I love Buster Posey. I love Clayton Kershaw. Whoever. But they will always look to you. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, I am the perfect dad, my daughter is the perfect daughter. I love my daughter, and sometimes she tests me, and sometimes I probably test her. But in the end, I'm going off of what I would do if I were a coach, and what I learned from when I was in youth sports. And what I remember is my dad teaching me, the guy that I looked up to, mm-hmm. and my dad saying, I remember I had a basketball game, and I got the first tip, I crossed this kid up, I got a layup, and I was pumped for it. Mm-hmm. I was like, yeah. And then I stole the ball. I went up and laid it in again, and I was pumped again. And then I got the pass, and I was feeling it, and I hit a 3, and I was cheering, and I was loud. And my dad said, "Come here." In the middle of the game. My dad said, "Come here." And I went over there. My coach called the timeout. My dad said, "Do not do that again. I understand that you had great 3 plays, but there's no room for that crap." And I know some people might be like, "Well, what's the big deal?" The big deal is I'm showing poor sportsmanship. I don't know how to win. And my dad is kicking me into my lane, as LeVar Ball would say.
Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. And just play the game. And that's what I did. And I'll never forget that, because it is something that means so much in today's world. We have so many of these kids now who are like high school. High school, if you celebrated, like, it was a penalty right away. Now they let them do it all the time, and you're just like, what happened? Like, now these kids are getting in their head that they're the best, you know? And then they get into college and they get creamed.
Yeah.
Or they get into the pros and they get creamed.
Yeah.
This is what we're saying is youth sports, the parents need to get out.
I think for me as a parent, what I always want to make sure my kids understand is that they respect the game that they're playing, and they respect the others that are they're playing with. And I don't disagree with expressing yourself, and if you're excited, hey, more power to you. You know what? You did pull off a great play. You made a great shot. You did whatever you did on field, court, whatever was outstanding. However, as parents to our kids, we have an obligation to teach them respect along the way.
Yeah.
And how disrespectful is it to rub in somebody else's face, you know, what you did, oh, I'm better, you suck, rub in your face. But yeah, when that happens to your kid, you're going to be crying about it too, about, oh, they shouldn't do that, that's disrespectful. No,
Exactly.
but that's what you taught your kid.
Exactly.
So, you know, I try to teach, especially my son who's now getting more into sports, to, you know, it's great to play hard. It's great to outwork the people that you're playing against, because that's what you want to do to be competitive. You got to outwork them, but you got to respect them, because you know what, they're worked as just as hard, if not harder than you. You just so happen to make the play, the whatever the case may be, but you still have to respect the game at the end of the day. You can't be disrespectful, because there's no room for it. No one will ever care how good you are if you're disrespectful. And especially if you tarnish a game like baseball, football, basketball, soccer, whatever the sport may be, they do not care about what you do on that accomplishment if you have no respect for who you go against and what you've done.
Exactly. And I do want to reassure. Listen, I'm not saying I'm the perfect parent. I'm not saying you're the perfect parent. We're not sitting here going, oh, we're the best and we know everything. No, because we're just speaking from our experience, what we want to teach our kids, and stuff that we've seen before, and specifically what I had to witness this past weekend. I just want to say sorry for the long video, and I'm sorry that we kind of rambled on, but it is something that we felt very passionate about, that we did really want to talk about. If you watch the whole video, we do appreciate it. If you watch even half of it, I still appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel after all that. It is Drew Code Sports Talk. And also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It is Drew Code Sports Talk as well.